I'm Isabel Cerdeira, the head of customer development at HubOS. Like I said before, I have been in the industry for 7 years. I'm very passionate about technology and how different systems work together and are transforming and innovating in the hospitality industry. I'm happy to be representing HubOS at Travel Tech. Hub is one of the most flexible operating systems with 7 different solutions, fully integrated. And depending on your hotel needs, you will bring automation and efficiency to different operational departments. And it can be from your housekeeping, maintenance to quality or F&B. So I'm very glad to be here today sharing, my knowledge and with all of these great speakers. So
awesome,
thank
Isabel.
you for having me.
Thank you so much. Let's go to Praveen, CEO and co-founder of the PMS, one of the biggest PMS in Asia, and they have presence in North America, entire of them. Praveen, go ahead, please.
Thanks, Vinicius. So it's good that I had a dry run before, so here's the live version.
I'm sorry. Happens, can happen.
Of the WinCloud property management system by Winsar. So we have actually been in hotel technology for over 20 years now, and we have installations across 30 countries. So one of our core beliefs when we started the business, and continues to be one of our core beliefs, is that good technology shouldn't only be reserved for the name brands and chains, right? They should be accessible for all. And one of the statistics that I shared earlier on was essentially the fact that 50% of the hotels globally are independents and local brands. And in certain countries, like for example in Canada, 70% of the hotels available are essentially independents and local brands. So all of these brands need good software, particularly now when there's a massive shift from on-premise systems to cloud-based systems. And all hotels are sort of learning to operate in the new normal, or now they call it never normal. It's good that actually these hotels really should have these state-of-the-art cutting-edge systems, essentially to help them drive operations well in the new normal. So I'm happy to be a part of this, panel. Very good participants in this panel, so look forward to a very healthy discussion.
Thank you, Praveen. Let's go to Jory Garcia for Not Inside. Jory Garcia, again, I'm so sorry. 2 minutes. Go ahead, man. I'm so sorry for the technical issues. I solved it.
As you mentioned, Jory Garcia here in Chicago, USA. I come from OTA Insight, but my background almost 10 years now in the hospitality industry. Worked with a major chain, major OTA as well. But OTA Insight as a company, pretty much we are the leading cloud-based data intelligence platform for the hospitality industry. We provide hoteliers and revenue managers alike with a suite of revenue management solutions that empower them to make smarter revenue, distribution, and marketing decisions. So since the beginning, back in 2012, based in Belgium, we've won numerous industry awards and have grown to become the leader in revenue management solutions for over 55,000 hotels globally, not just independent, but also local and global chains as well, across 168 countries. Of course, we have partnerships with many of other platforms as well, like some of the panelists here today. And then lastly, just to give us some more credence, last year won 3 first place awards with Hotel Tech Report, so just throw that in there. But very happy to join you guys today and discuss our knowledge with technology.
Welcome, Jory. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for all of this panel. Jory, Isabel, Praveen, Brahman, Philip, Clarissa. Welcome, everybody. This is the show of knowledge. So keep tuned. And everything that we do here in Travel Tech has been recorded, and everybody will have the access. However, if you want to have an international certification for 10 hours with all our master classes, because this is a forum, and each day we have a different master class. Register yourself and you still have the chance to get this certification. Before we start, and I move to Clarissa to go to the questions, one thing that's really important for everybody that is listening to us, to our webinar platform or from YouTube or from LinkedIn, please write down your questions. We're going to have one round of questions and a second round of questions. And if you have questions, we're going to request to our special speakers today to try to figure it out how to solve your problem. So enjoy. It's not regular. You're going to have the chance to speak with Philip, Isabel, Jory, Roman, Praveen and Clarissa to fix it, and also myself. So welcome everybody. Let's do the show happens. Clarissa, I start with the first round of questions. It's all of yours, or it's myself. I think it's myself. I don't know. No, it's myself. It's me. I start. Isabel Cerdeira is the first question. Isabel Cerdeira, Head of Customer Development at Hub OS. So let's go to the first question. Surprisingly, there are still many hotels running without any data about some operation departments. What can be the consequence of it? I'm going to repeat the questions. Surprisingly, there are still many hotels running without any data about some operational departments. What can be the consequence of it? You have 5 minutes. The word all yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinicius. So I always say, this example, and I think, it's a good example for you to imagine how a hotel without data would be. So imagine driving a blindfold without knowing your fuel, your speed, or where you are driving to. So this is exactly how a hotel would look like without data. That's my opinion. And I think, the most common when we hear about the word data is to think about revenue management. And we all know its importance, so I'm not going there. I think Roman and Jory can speak better about it for sure. However, is not the only piece of important data that hoteliers should be looking at, because you can have a great RevPAR, but at the same time, a very high operational costs. So where is your profitability here? So all of this is data that you really need to have at your hotel. And, how do you know how much is costing you your housekeeping? Or how much is costing you not doing a preventive task? Or how much is costing you to, the overproduction at your restaurant? And the list goes on and on and on, unfortunately. However, on the other side, with the amount of data that hoteliers have nowadays, or some of them have, it's really important to know where to look at, because it can be very overwhelming and frustrating when you are looking at data. And again, I think is an essential factor in every single business. It will give you a 360-degree view of your hotel business, and you can actually see opportunities for growth. So without it, most probably you won't improve your operations because you simply don't know its performance. And if you don't know what it needs to be improved, how can you improve it? If you don't have a process in place, you don't know if these processes are working or never work. And for this, you need data. And I always emphasize this when I talk with hoteliers. I think the hospitality industry is still not very data-driven. But when you talk about improving your operations, we should be talking about, sitting with your team, analyzing your current process, replacing them with a smarter process. We should be talking about productivity, reducing costs, increasing revenue. We should be talking about flexible and strong tools to support you on all of this. So we are talking about, great technologies to support you. On the other side, these technologies also need to be collecting high quality data and convert it into readable insights. It's already overwhelming to have all of these data. If you don't have a way to have this data readable, for you to analyze and take informed and fast decisions, it's going to be very, very difficult. So, again, without relevant hotel operations data, hoteliers take decisions based on assumptions. And at the end of the day, this will drive the hotel to close. It won't allow you to even automate things that process that you have at your hotel that still needs to be improved. And alongside, well, your competitors that are using data will effectively have a huge advantage. In a nutshell, really, having accurate and relevant data available, understanding what is required, regardless the department that we are talking about, setting the right KPIs will drive your hotel to its maximum efficiency. So that is really my opinion about data. I think, again, a hotel without data, it's really driving a blindfold.
I want to make a point on what Isabel just said. Basically, what Isabel is expressing is when you have operations, you need software that can tell you, for example, right now we're passing through a COVID situation, and after the COVID, before that, maybe softwares for operations, people only look on PMSs. Right now, for example, we want to know if the guests want to know if for example, I'm sorry, right now I just go out of my mind what I will said, but I didn't forget. You have, go to the room, you want to know if the room has been cleaned, you can have a QR code. You can double check if the conditioner air, when it was the last time that somebody did something about that. The guest will know about it. But at the end, you, as a hotelier, you're gonna have the data also. You will be managed when you need to do maintenance on different sectors of your hotel. Maybe a PMS don't manage this. That is why we have like a hub building is one of the software that manage this worldwide. So it's just, I want to make a point here. If somebody else.
Thank you, Vinicius.
No, welcome. If somebody else wants to make a point on this, please go ahead. You're gonna have 1 minute also. If not, we will gonna move to the next question.
Well, if you don't mind, I just,
Roman,
on the point of data, sometimes we also just look to data being important today. And for your hotel today. But if you're not collecting data and not operating based on data today, you're setting yourself back not just today, you're setting yourself back 10 years, 15 years, 20 years from now. Because in 15, 20 years, if you don't have your data from today, you're going to be behind, you're going to be on the back foot trying to catch up, from that moment on. So it's not just important to say, okay, let's slowly start collecting data today, to help us today. It's we need to have foresight into the future because data is going to become more and more and more important exponentially as we continue to grow as an industry.
Thank you too much, Roman. Somebody else? If not, we move to the next question. Okay, Clarissa, it's all in your hands. Please go ahead.
Then we move now to Praveen. And Praveen, the next question for you. What are the various data points that the hotels need to capture at an operation level, and why are they important?
Thanks, Clarissa. So I guess from our perspective, being the PMS, really the heart of the entire hotel operation, sort of all data somehow ends up in the PMS, essentially, right, through one means or another. So we become this real big data warehouse for essentially all data that's actually coming into the system. So data capture in a hotel doesn't only, correlate to the front desk operations alone. And as Isabel had pointed out, and obviously it sort of reflects on other departments as well. You've got to know how well your housekeeping is doing, how well your maintenance is being done, how well your F&B is performing. So all of these various elements really need to come together in terms of a data warehouse, right? So all of your data that's being captured needs to come into unison into one point. And also the back of house operations. You've got your inventory management, your store management. A lot of smaller hotels and also the local brands don't really think about what happens in their stores, and essentially how the inflow of material, the outflow of material in the store management aspect as well. And then correlating that across to the accounting system so that essentially all of this data now comes back into your financial system where you can set budgets and make decisions, look at how you're performing. So essentially this entire operation coexists, as a unison and works well in a unison. So if you take the front office, for example, essentially all of the data comes through from the OTAs. So from the OTAs, a guest goes in and fills their details. That comes with that process is now automated to the PMS, where the guest is essentially typing their data. That filters down through the OTA to a channel manager and directly into the system. And what we found is essentially the process of the guest actually entering the data results in the most accurate data within the PMS, right? And this is very, very important, right? And we further reinforced this last year when we rolled out a contactless system, essentially where we permitted guests to do self-check-ins, do their own registration cards, check in, and once they check in, do their own F&B, do their own request management, ask for things. And what we found was in that process, like we got some information from the OTAs, the first name, last name, email address, phone number, these things we actually received. But by actually then pushing forward this contactless system to the guests started entering a lot more data into the system. What do they like to do? What are their likes? What are their dislikes? What were their allergies? They wanted an extra pillow in the room. These things were not done by the hotel staff. These things were actually done directly by the guests. And what we found out then was the guest profile within the system became sort of 90% accuracy, in comparison to the hotel staff sort of entering dots and spaces and, all sorts of stuff into the profile for the sake of filling the profile, just because they don't have the time to do it, right? So by pushing these systems across to the guest, we found that essentially data is a lot more accurate. So it's good having data, but data is sort of meaningless unless it's accurate. So it's a rubbish in, rubbish out concept, right? So once you have this accurate data, essentially you are able to do a lot more personalization, essentially for the guest. Understand the guest's habits a lot more, be able to provide what we call like a hyper-personalized service, essentially to make sure the guest is something, the stay that they have is something dissimilar to anything that they've ever had, right? And ultimately, this moves down to the F&B patterns, their spend patterns. So all of this coming down to one process, one profile, and then being able to share this information across to other systems as well ensures that the data that you're collecting is good data, and that data can be effectively used to generate revenue and also do improvements in various verticals within the hotel. So that's just my view on data.
Thank you so much, Praveen. Thank you so much.
So we moved basically for reminding how important it is to make decisions based upon data. And we dipped a little bit on in the importance also of actually collecting data, how to collect data, accuracy, and real time. Thank you so much, Praveen, for your contribution.
Clarissa,
Vinicius,
before you move forward, I want to make a point here. Most hoteliers, maybe they don't figure it out. That's Praveen said. You have a lot of data. You have a lot of data on your PMSs. For example, right now in the pandemic stuff, we have a lot of different states in North America and Canada. US and Canada, I'm so sorry. North America is Mexico, US and Canada. If not, it's going to be a little bit wrong geographically. So it's the most important. If you check your PMS, you can check what happens in 2018. 2018, you can figure it out where your guests coming from and try to understand also, because all the data is on your PMS. You can double check, for example, who is the guest that spend more and what he buys. How is the middle guest? How is the standard guest? You have that data. You just need to take one day and do an analysis. That will take you forever. Use it, because if you don't use it, you're going to close. I'm so sorry about what I'm saying, but it's the real truth. And the most important thing is that right now we're working. I know that North America is, or the flyers, the flying, it's operating normally, not as Europe or other parts of the world. However, for leisure, we have more leisure than corporate. So in leisure, you normally have 400 to 500 kilometers. I don't remember in miles, I'm so sorry. Miles is not that what I use normally. So you can use that data to impact to that client that already passed through your hotel. So make a point in your hotel and make a round of it and try to search. And if you are a corporate one, try to search each business still running. Maybe you will have an event for 1,000 people, but you can have events for 10, 15, 20, and that will make you grow. That's the main point. That's the only thing I need to say here. Thank you very much. Clarissa, it's up to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, actually, it's your turn for the next question, but I can take over if you wish.
Take over. Yeah.
So, Roman,
you
over
can
to
take it. I prefer you. You're better than myself.
Yeah. Roman, let's go to you with the next question, which is the following. RMS have only been adopted by 10-15% of the entire industry. Why is such a struggle for hotels to adapt and embrace a tool that is so simple and helpful?
Yeah, it actually blows my mind, those numbers. Airlines have been using pricing algorithms since the late 70s, early 80s. While they were primitive, they were still using them. Car rental firms have been using algos and pricing systems since the early 90s. Why are systems like this not being adapted and broadly used in hospitality, right? When I started working in the industry, this blew my mind. But what was even more interesting is that the 10 to 15% that are using RMS systems, they actually make up 50% or more of the global room revenue, right? So that means that it's the larger hotels, the flagged hotels, taking advantage of technologies, most likely in-house systems, and it's the small to medium-sized hotels who are not making or not able to make that jump to use revenue management technologies or any other type of technology, putting them at an immediate disadvantage versus the larger competitor that's literally directly across the street. So it was a challenge for us, and we started kind of dissecting, where the issue was, and our findings really come from an observation that I have speaking with thousands of hoteliers every year, whether it's GMs, revenue managers, owners, sometimes we even talk to directors of rooms, etc. And so, firstly, it's a very traditional industry. I went to business school. I didn't go to hospitality school. And in business school, we learned extremely outdated theories like Maslow's hierarchy of the firm, Deming's motivational theories, right? And all these concepts, they're obsolete now because we have access to data and computing systems, and they're far more accurate than anything we had 80 years ago. And hotel school, while I think things are starting to change, it's similar. It's similar to business school. A base is formed by teaching older proven methods with a lesser focus on technology. And you're taught how to run a hotel from the ground up in an analog way. So, and that's kind of where it starts. So you now have a base education telling you can run your hotel without bells and whistles, as long as you have a PMS, which again, like you were saying, it's the heart of the hotel, a channel manager, you're good. The second big piece is that RMS systems have historically been extremely expensive. I can't tell you how many clients fear that question. We get through a 30-minute demo and then it's, okay, how much is this going to set me back? And technology is becoming more and more affordable. But even though it's becoming more affordable and it's gotten 50-75% less expensive than maybe 5-10 years ago, $300 to $400 a month is still a tough pill to swallow for a 50-room hotel, and which is kind of a segue into the biggest fear that we see, and that's a fear of making a mistake, getting the wrong technology, paying too much. Most of the time we speak to a GM in these smaller hotels who are absolutely terrified, especially right now, like during COVID, of making a $4,000 annual investment into a piece of technology, and then their revenue doesn't increase. And now they have to explain to ownership why he's wasting $4,000 a year on technology that he's actually being paid to do and run manually. So, and from here, questions tend to arise asking how much, is the revenue going to be? How much are we going to be able to increase revenue? What can they expect, et cetera? And will they see a return on investment? And a lot of revenue management companies out there, including ourselves, occasionally, we say, oh, we can increase your revenue by 10, 15, 20%. But to be perfectly honest, and between us and everybody that's watching, that's garbage. There's no index. There's no way to honestly tell somebody that the machine can beat the human. While most likely it's more efficient, and I can tell you with 90% assurance that real-time pricing is always going to beat a person just because it's constantly running. But I can't actually tell you that. And this causes serious uncertainty right off the bat. So, but what I can tell you, and one of the reasons why we're here today, is emerging technology and how can technology help your day-to-day operations. And what technology really is there to start with is it should absolutely be in your day-to-day operations, because they can start saving you 1, 2, 3 hours a day. And that starts adding up. If you just add that up, we average about we say that a regular hotelier can save 3 hours a day just with pricing. That's 1,000 hours a year. That's 45 days a year. 45 days that you're just managing rates 24 hours a day, not doing anything else. And so, if you look at that, just in America, we have $15 new minimum wage potentially. That's $15,000 a year you're paying somebody just to manage your rates. Or it's 1,000 hours you can be focusing on something entirely different in your hotel. And as we're coming out of the darkest time in our industry, it's so incredibly important to operate as effectively, efficiently as you possibly can. Lower your overhead, let technology work for you, and focus on guest experience. Improve your offering. Work on the curb appeal of your hotel. I think there was something that Eric Munoz said yesterday, and he hit the nail on the head in the masterclass. He said one of the biggest challenges is for hotels to compete with vacation rentals. And Phil, I'm sure you love to hear that. But they're leaving personalized notes in the hotels, like where you can get the best croissant in Paris. You walk in, or they're leaving a bottle of wine in your refrigerator. All the things that you're not getting from a 2-3 star hotel, but you could. And that's where I see the need for small to medium-sized hotels to really take that leap of faith, invest in great technology now, so you can focus your energy as a hotelier and be as hospitable as possible in hospitality. And it will set you up for the next 5 to 10 years. So that's kind of the big takeaway from me. And it's surprising every day that we still have only 10 to 15% people using this technology.
Thank you very much.
And I think this is a great opportunity to continue to help.
Before we continue, I just want to make a point here, because yesterday, as Roman told about what happened yesterday, Airbnb is not they're not the villain here. If you're in a hotel, just work with them, and you don't sell in one day. You just do long stays, and you're gonna stop thinking Airbnb is your villain, because Booking.com, Expedia is doing the same. So forget about that. And it's different public, it's different experience, what we search. And what Rowan says, very important, that has been touched yesterday, is that if you have first of all, use some kind of technology. After 3 hours the guest is in your hotel, you send him a message through WhatsApp, or it doesn't matter where. Find the technology. Here we have a lot of them passing through every day, and all the events that we do. So if you do that, all those, you don't even need to take notes. You send to them after 2 hours. Look, you're in Hawaii. Welcome to Hawaii. You know what you're gonna do if you go outside of our resorts? This. If I'm in LA, you can do this. If I'm in New York, Atlanta, Toronto, doesn't matter. Quebec, here. It's simple. It's easy. It's not too sure. And don't think technology is something that you spend money. Without technology right now, you don't grow anymore. That's one thing. We are not a cost. We help you. That is the main point. I'm so sorry, Clarissa, go ahead. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. I think that we have enough insight. I mean, let's help hoteliers to see technology, RMS, but not only RMS, not always like a cost or something, or how much does it cost? I cannot afford it, but to see, to change the angle and to see actually what you are getting out from this investment. And that's I think where we have to work on. So thank you both. Let's move forward with Jory. Jory, the question for you is the following: time and bandwidth are at a premium in our in our new normal, and that's been throughout recovery. How can I ensure my team is efficient, optimizing our hotel strategy?
Yeah, thanks for that question. And I think a lot of what has been said thus far by the other panelists, to some degree, touch on this point. Like Isabel, you said, without having data, it's like driving blindfold. Funny enough, in this day and age, we have Tesla and other smart cars. So we can aim to be like those smart cars with a 360-degree view, like you mentioned. Also, Roman, something like you said, that's smart technology and the right technology can save you around 45 days a year. I've never heard those statistics, and maybe you can send those over to me afterwards. But as for the actual question, could just be semantics. Could be semantics here, but I think the question isn't so much about wasting time, so to speak, but instead using time both efficiently and effectively. So much like my fellow panelists have detailed, technology and data exponentially decrease the time needed to find answers and guide you to optimize revenue strategy overall to your bottom line, especially considering that hotels still have the bulk of their team from 2019 still on furlough, and many managers are now wearing multiple hats, which we quite hear very often. They're doing multiple jobs that they weren't accountable for before and may not have the expertise as well. To make matters worse, and not to really scare anybody, we've mostly come to accept the situation that we've been in for a year. I think it was actually a year to the day when the NBA was suspended and everything came to a screeching halt, at least here in the US. But buying behaviors continue to change. Governments across across multiple nations, all nations in the world, are consistently working to push vaccination rollouts, and travel restrictions are those slowly, continually opening as well. So in the now, and for the past 12 months, historical demand drivers are less relevant and more needs to be done with less resources overall. Not just human, but also, and more potentially most importantly, with technology and budget considerations as well. So to make a very difficult and expansive answer simplified, would be prioritization. So not so much numerical ordering of tasks and tools or even duties for your employees, but more so truly understanding what data points are relevant. I think someone else mentioned, making sure your KPIs are aligned, whether you're chasing occupancy, ADR, RevPAR for the month, for the week, depending on where you're at. Once that's settled, then we can move on to the logistics of your data. So how do you distribute information across your team? How fast can you update and download reports? These are questions that you should be considering. And if this isn't all capable with minimal clicks of the mouse, or if data isn't shareable at all, then your team has a huge logjam and will continue to be the case moving forward. Now, I know that all sounds elementary, but sadly we continue to hear these very basic burdens and troubles across the board for plenty of hotels, whether it's the top of the spectrum or those budget properties in more rural areas. But regarding the basic principles of revenue management, hotels are also breaking very fundamental cardinal rules, racing to the bottom. We know this will only hurt your bottom line, but also if the greater group or the market as a whole follows suit, this could be a very slippery slope. Secondly, I guess, many hotels are still too comfortable following the revenue management faux pas of set it and forget it. That's not anything we want to see in any market. So two other buzzwords I would also throw out are both automation and integration, something that we've kind of heard from the other panelists. But if these are alien terms or new to your ears, you might be behind not only the era that we're in, but also greatly behind the hotels that you compete with for reservations. Now, automation can best be described as technology that runs in the background, potentially on the cloud, hopefully even while you sleep. And then for integration, many tools are very specialized and algorithms are fragile, or can be. So allowing technologies in your tech stack to communicate and feed each other, allows pricing recommendations, reporting to be a lot cleaner, a lot clearer, and of course, more actionable. So to sum it up, data is not all the same. Not all technologies are the same. So ensuring that you can navigate all the acronyms out there, whether that's CRS, PMS, RMS, and all the rest that we've heard across the years, without any thought, that's a great start. But prioritization, distribution across your team, automation, integration should be considered ASAP. If not now, then when? Please do not get left behind. We're still in recovery right now, and now might be the best time to actually evaluate and potentially revamp what data that you wield and what tools you'll be using into the future.
Well,
thank you so much, Jory. Go ahead, Clarissa. I always interrupting you. Clarissa's gonna kill me, guys. Can happen.
Absolutely. Has anybody any comments or question? No. So then let's move forward to Philip.
Okay.
A question for you. Is the short-term rental industry ready for the data in day-to-day operations? And if so, how do STR managers find it, use it, and benefit from it?
Yeah, that's a great question, because in many ways, the short-term rental industry is the kind of younger sibling of the hotel industry. And when you look at specifically tech adoption, and we'll talk more about that later, but tech adoption continues to be a challenge in short-term rentals, specifically because there are so many independent operators. So for the many hoteliers listening on the masterclass, think about the smallest hotel that you've ever been familiar with, right? And then make it smaller so that it's just one room, right? That's the level of operation size of the standard vacation rental manager. I know you guys think about Airbnb and vacation rentals and short-term rentals as large kind of monolithic beast, but in reality, it's just a lot of millions of individuals around the world that all have often on average about one property or 1.5 properties on average. So it's a very, very disparate kind of diaspora. And so when you talk about data, we have a completely unique set of challenges. And the unique challenges are in short-term rentals, the largest segment, again, being independents, only 20% of independents have any connectivity technology at all. So 80% of vacation rentals are managed by people that don't have any connectivity technology. So if you don't have connectivity technology, what are the likelihoods of you having a healthy data business or in any kind of real view of what's going on in your operation? So that's one set of challenges. On the other side, though, data is used very differently in short-term rentals than it is in hotels, even when you do have data in place. And here's one of the really interesting reasons why. Think about what you're using data for, and some of the answers from the other panelists in the masterclass. We've talked about ways to improve and enhance your day-to-day operations, to improve revenue, to reduce F&B cost or improve back to the house efficiency. Maybe even figure out how to create a better channel mix and get better distribution for your business. But what we haven't talked about is how to actually grow the footprint of your business. See, in vacation rentals, that's also a major distinction in the sense that most of the data that short-term rentals owners and managers are consuming isn't just around how to run their existing locations, it's where to expand their business to. Because getting a second property or a third property sometimes is just a master lease away. You're not even necessarily buying a new property. So a lot of market data can be used to figure out how to expand, where to expand. The challenges that we all face around that are, and we've, I think probably Roman has seen this and probably had this conversation internally at his company. Historical data in the year 2020 and 2021 is not meaningless, but it doesn't carry the same weight that it used to. So trying to understand how to view predictive and forward-looking, future data and mix those data sources with historicals and applying a kind of a liberal amount of gut feel associated with it and trying to triangulate all of the different government opens and closes and travel restrictions is very, very challenging even for the largest hotel organization. But when you're thinking again about that owner operator of one, it becomes almost what may feel like an impossible burden, right? To try to figure all these things out for a small individual operator in the vacation rental industry. So, the real answer is how do you use data in day-to-day operations in short-term rentals? A lot of short-term rentals aren't using data. They don't have their information and connectivity consolidated in a single PMS or dashboard. And they're not also distributed on all the major OTAs. They may not even have a direct booking website with direct engine. So the answer is really, are they ready for it? They should be, because the hotel industry is certainly ready. We have a lot of professionals here that are talking about optimization. Whereas in the short-term rentals, we're barely kind of even getting to table stakes and having a single operating system to manage your business on. So we're not ready, but we certainly need to get there. The demand is there, the world is ready, travelers are ready, but the industry needs to catch up.
Awesome, Philip. Thank you so much for the insights, and it's really relevant. The point that it just came over. So for everybody that is watching us, and for those persons that will watch us on the future, as everything here is recorded, if you want to get in touch with Philip, Roman, Jory, Isabel, Praveen, just go to traveltech.space and you ask Canada Edition. You're going to have their company's websites. They will have their own LinkedIn, so you can touch base directly with them. And for those companies that are our sponsors, they're going to say at the end, you're going to have the tech companies where you can have one-to-one presentations. During the entire year, you can use Travel Tech for that with no cost at all. So thank you very much, Philip. Thank you all. Before we start, it's the first time I gotta do something here as a special, and I hope everybody can open the microphone. Just everybody, please open the microphone. Everybody, today is the birthday of Praveen. So he's here. It's 1 o'clock here in Asia. So let's say happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Praveen. Happy birthday to you. It's the first time. I'm never gonna say it. We are all executives here, but we need to have some kind. Happy birthday, man! For a long
birthday,
more time on this board. Thank you to be here. Now I'm gonna leave you with Clarissa. Clarissa will continue with all the questions, and Clarissa will manage because he managed better than myself, for sure. Thank you.
Well, what a good way, what a nice way to have birthday and have some party with Traveltech. So
maybe I don't have champagne, but the next time if your team prevent me before, maybe I open champagne here live. But right now I don't have. I just taken a little bit of wine. Happy birthday, man. Happy birthday. Enjoy it. Thank you to be here in your birthday. Thank you.
So let's move forward to the second round of questions. And I'm going to start the second round with you, Jory. So the question for you is, the hotel industry continues to get smarter and tech-centric when it comes to revenue management, pricing, distribution, etc. But the same goes for the consumer. What can hoteliers do to stay ahead of the curve?
Make sure I'm not on mute. Yeah, so Clarissa, thanks so much. I actually really like this question, and honestly, I've been considering this for years now. Maybe it's because I'm a millennial. Maybe it's due to my background, always being on the tech side, not necessarily on property. Don't hold that against me. But hotels in major markets, might have a wealth of knowledge at this point, but so do teenagers. Like, really think about it. We can rewind a TV. We have a jukebox in our pockets. We can FaceTime. And of course, we can find anything on our smartphones, including hotel details, whether that's on a direct websites, whether it's on short-term rental websites, or potentially on a multitude of growing review and meta sites as well. So to answer this question, I guess I can tell a quick story, or more so a cautionary tale that I recently heard very recently. And the question goes, or the joke, if you will, is why do OTAs exist? And the answer is really because hotels were so slow to innovate. Not only do airlines get credit for formulating the beginnings of revenue management, but OTAs were also the first to get to the finish line to capture guest loyalty on the internet. Long story short, like most tech startups, someone saw the potential and sought to find a solution. Luckily this story didn't take place in a garage, but was actually backed by Microsoft. If you didn't know this, back in '96, I believe, was the time period, at a time when the internet was still in its infancy. The vision was to turn the GDS data, which to some of you, I guess you can describe it as the screen from the Matrix, and turn that into something accessible and bookable as a platform for travelers. So with OTAs, we as travelers no longer have to go to a travel agent office. We can now search in the comfort of our home at any time as well. So like I said previously, now we can do this all on our smartphones. And that might be scary to some of you all, or some of you hotels, I guess. But for those who do not know about OTA Insight, we originally entered the market with a rate shopping technology. So this has been our bread and butter for over a decade now. And I can tell you, I'd be very surprised, or you might be very surprised, how often hotels ask, why they aren't seeing rates for comp set properties, competitive hotels that they compete with day-to-day basis. And I can tell you this is incredibly concerning because majority of the time, after a quick troubleshoot, just looking through our platform, I can find that those comp set properties are actually closed, whether that's temporary or for the foreseeable future due to COVID. So what does this tell us? One, hoteliers seemingly aren't tracking hotels they are typically competing against. And two, and more importantly, potentially, they don't even know how or where to begin. So even though these new realities are the same for guests, which I know you're completely aware of, guest buying behaviors as well as hotel strategies are very abstract and continue to change. Additionally, with less staff working alongside you, automated rate and market data is paramount to understand what your fair share out there even looks like. And hotels need data now more than ever. I like what you mentioned earlier. Philip, you said the impossible burden of tracking future data. I think, in the past, we kind of we as hoteliers relied on year-over-year data, historical information, maybe past events, maybe past weddings or any type of, group reservation that we saw at the hotel. We know that's pretty much out the window now moving forward. So if we can, find those real drivers, I think you said triangulate as well, that would help us try to figure out, what we can capture, whether they be the millennials of the world, depending on who's traveling, from what country. A lot of that's still opening. On top of that, partners of ours here at OTA Insight globally have consistently stated that identifying and quantifying true demand is nearly impossible, back to that impossible burden you mentioned. So I think overall, hoteliers just need to be a little bit more open-minded, figuring out what's out there, regardless of any of those acronyms I mentioned a bit ago, PMS, CRS, of course, any of the technologies we offer, Smith Travel Research here in the US. Be more open-minded, see what's out there. Now is the time before recovery has ended, and we're kind of back to those booking patterns pre-2020. So that's kind of what I would mention. Just take a look out there, regardless of what segment you're in, what segments you're looking for, guests, who knows. That's my recommendation overall.
Well, thank you so much, Jory, for your contribution and answer to the question. If there are no comments or questions, then I will quickly move forward to the next question, so to try to keep track on the schedule. So, Philip, the next question for you. The short-term rental industry is often regarded as younger and more agile than the hotel industry, and we just said it. Does that apply to its relationship with data adoption?
Yeah, that's an incredibly interesting question, and I think the best way to look at it is the concept of the tabula rasa, right? The blank slate. Because there are so many independent operators in the short-term rental space that are not using technology, it gives them a clean slate to start building technology and data-driven business on day one, as opposed to having a lot of legacy tech that they have to try to extract data out of and spend a lot of time and money trying to improve an existing tech stack. So the answer is adoption has been rapid, but it just hasn't been widespread. The technology tools that have been created in the past 5 years in the short-term rental space rival, in just that short amount of time, they rival the best tools that exist in hospitality, in hotel technology, in terms of the power that they have, their ability to use predictive and historical data to connect to multiple channels, and also to do all that at a fairly reasonable price. Sometimes there's a technology hurdle in terms of the complexity of the tools. That's one of the challenges. So because a lot of software makers in the space do target enterprise property managers, because they're the ones with the budgets, right? So there's been an adoption challenge in terms of moving down towards independence, which is what our company is focused on. We built Futurestay to focus on the democratization of technology. So that's one thing that I think is still lacking in the space, more democratization around the technology. But the adoption rate has been quick, and the quality of technology has been very, very high. It's just not widespread enough as it needs to be in our industry. And some of the challenges that creates actually is, and I think it may have been Jory that said it earlier, from an external perspective, and a lot of hoteliers probably view it this way too, short-term rentals are viewed as this monolithic industry with Airbnb at the helm, right? In reality, Airbnb is responsible for less than 25% of all vacation rental bookings, right? The most common channel for vacation rental bookings is direct. It's just directly on their website or working with someone that you've already stayed with before. So Airbnb is a figurehead for a lot of good reasons, and they've driven the industry forward. But they certainly are not, the only driving force of the short-term rental industry. What that visibility that they have, though, creates a challenge, I think, for small operators, that they sometimes are too reliant on a single OTA as not just the only source of their bookings, but also as the only source and controlling source of their data, right? A lot of short-term rentals, especially with vacation rental OTAs, vacation rental or short-term rental OTAs, they don't even get full guest data for bookings. They get abstracted or proxy data. So they don't have full last names. They don't have credit card numbers. They don't have phone numbers. They even have proxy email addresses. So getting that ownership of data is really, really difficult when you don't have as much collective bargaining power because you have one unit and you're not a flagship hotel chain, right? So that also puts the burden in terms of more barriers to data adoption throughout the short-term rental industry than you see around hotels. But I think, going back to the question, you're looking at very, very rapid adoption, but just not enough penetration yet in the space. And hopefully that's going to continue to change. And companies like Futurestay are some of the companies that are driving that adoption as rapidly as possible throughout the independent segment of short-term rentals.
Thank you, Philip. I want to add something here that's very important. From Airbnb, when they goes up like 5 years ago, or maybe a little bit more, but as remember, it's 5-6 years ago, we never expect to have a boom on the technology side for individuals, and that is happening. We are seeing, I just did a search the last year. I couldn't really believe it. I saw that we have companies right now that offering a small PMS with a channel manager connected for booking, Expedia, and a few others that accept as Airbnb, of course. But the good thing is that technology don't make people lose their jobs at the end. We create more jobs. We just need to readapt. Right now we have a boom of companies that help individuals to get a channel manager. That's something, I don't know how they manage this, because normally a guy that have, I don't know, a big house in front of California, maybe he never used nothing, is gonna be like, what those guys sold me. I have no idea what to do. That's great, but then you have Philip that can help on that, and you have all the other companies. This is a boom. So it's important to understand that technology will take the human beings out. That if that happens, then it's the end of the world. I'm so sorry to tell this, but it's true. You always will need somebody to be behind the software. We can have a lot of artificial intelligence, but it's artificial. They can learn. They learn faster than human beings. But for example, for professionals, that is as the professionals we have here, if we give them any of these tools, it's going to be like, this is very easy. But they don't have this. But for those guys, for example, that have a little, let's say a hotel that have 6 rooms, a boutique, but maybe they're not a boutique. They used to have a mansion on LA or in Miami, and right now they have 10 rooms, and they can sell the room per day for $1,000. They need technology. So if you lose your job, as most, we have more than 50% on the hospitality that lose their jobs. So don't be, we will come back, and hotels will come back normally in a few months, and depends on the part of the earth you are. We're going to have this working. So be in mind that maybe you lose your job, but you can try to be a consultant for small properties. I just given a tip for the people that don't have a job right now. It's like, what I do, man. You know how I use a channel manager? Do you know how PMS works? Do you know how OTAs? Do you know how to do a strategy? So man, you have a huge market to go through. That's all. If somebody else wants to set something or add something, please go ahead. If not, Clarissa, we'll move to the next question. Please, somebody. Jory, Isabel, Praveen, Roman, Philip.
Well, just a really quick kind of observation that I kind of thought was cool. Over the last couple of months, if you look at somehow the vacation rental industry, it's regular. It's average Joes who aren't owning a hotel. They have their own little portfolio, and why shouldn't they be treating it in a professional manner? Like a hotel should. It's a business. And, before it maybe been a hobby, it's like, all right, I'm going to rent my place out for the summer and that's it. But now it's a viable business. It's a viable business to establish, to own properties and start renting them out. And it needs to be treated more professionally. I mean, look at the rise of the retail stock trader on Robinhood, right? Yeah. It's the same thing. And you have people sitting at home now that don't have access to Bloomberg Terminal, like the big hedge funds and the big and the private equity firms, but they're starting to get because of technology. There is now companies affordably providing data to guys who are trading on Webull, trading on Robinhood, right? And these guys are outperforming algorithms, outperforming hedge funds, right? And they're doing this from the comfort of their own home on their own. And the same way, people should start treating their vacation rentals as, in the same exact manner, right? And guys like Futurestay are providing those tools, to average Joes to allow them to take their small little business or their properties and treat it as a professional business. So I think it's a fascinating time that we live in, and it's just kind of a cool little parallel that I've noticed.
And then, sorry, Roman, and the word has changed. We have the new normal. This is normal. After Des passed away, people think that everything will come back. No, it will come back. A lot of companies that you take, myself, I have my own company. We have other 2 technology companies, not only travel tech. For example, send somebody to have a meeting in US and 40 hours and come back and spend $7,000. That never will happen again. That never will happen again. So we need to adapt. That is the mice. Mice will need to adapt. They start and do it with a hybrid, as we do here. We expect in 2022 maybe to have an hybrid event in different parts of the world. But travel tech never will die, because it's the only project that really works at the end for knowledge. And we have a crazy person in the back as an engineer, have a lot of experience on this. And I want, because what we found out is the same issue that in Asia or in Singapore, China, Japan, Barcelona, or LA, New York, Toronto, Cancun, Sao Paulo, all the hoteliers have the same issue: knowledge. Normally they hire or they contract companies because the other do it. This is the place that you can speak with the persons that rule those companies. That is a space where you can get a lot of information, a lot of knowledge for free, and also give you the opportunity to let me check what I have in the market, because this is a window. This is a publicity. At the end, we still are giving publicity for everybody all over the world. So thank you very much, Roman and Philip. And that's it. Clarissa, please.
Yeah,
Jory wants to say something. Sorry, Jory. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Roman, I like what you said, that it's not just the hotel industry or revenue management as a principle, as a foundation, but technology and evolution or innovation is expanding across all industries. It's going to continue to do so. We are in the new normal. We'll continue to see that, people working from home more often. Regardless of what we're talking about, there is going to be a new normal overall in the coming years. But 2 other points I think we just wasn't mentioned, even though we're tying a lot of the aspects together throughout these questions. Vinicius mentioned distribution. That's largely important as well. I know a lot of properties, regardless of what segment you're in, are aiming to be more so capturing direct bookings. That makes sense, right? No commission. But moving forward, travelers...
Depends. No commission, depends. I charge per commission. Depends on the tool you use.
But making sure you're visible on different sites, I think that's paramount. If you can kind of figure out the relationship there, that's up to you with market managers or whatever the terminology is. And then Philip, one thing you mentioned as well, owning the data, not just relying or accepting proxy information, but owning information. Praveen, I'm sure that's something that you're very familiar with as well with PMSs. So I just wanted to highlight those points.
Thank you so much, Jory. We're going to start the second round of questions. I will let Clarissa move forward with all the questions. We have 35 minutes to finish, so maybe we'll rush a little bit. I'm so sorry about that. If I don't have the pitching, I can stay a lot of time. But I have the pitching, and I need to be there. That's a bad thing for me.
We are going to mute you and then speed a little bit. So the next question is for Isabel. Isabel, data in hospitality plays a critical role. However, with the amount of data that can be collected in hotels nowadays, is it all data available for hotel business?
Yeah, 100% 100%
Thank you, Clarissa. I think it's a very interesting question, and a lot has been said here. Praveen said about how accurate the data is if it comes from a guest, and we still have a lot of hotels that they still the front desk still type all that kind of information, or even Philip said it, like all of these short rental that don't have real data with them. So no, not all data is valuable. And I will give the example of the car again. And again, I know nothing about cars, okay? But I think it's just a nice example. Imagine that you have a full data on an electric car, when what you actually need is to know your battery level. This is a dummy example, but it gives you the idea that there's many reasons that can explain why data is not all valuable. And the first one can be, the fact that this data is not properly transformed into actionable insights, which make it very difficult to read, to understand, and to make decisions out of it. For instance, if you have multiple systems, it can be a real struggle to analyze insights that are transformed in totally different ways. And most important, that these data is not connected with each other. We all know, hotels really need a PMS, really need a channel manager. But I really recommend all of the hotels to have, a revenue management system and an operating system as well. Because if you don't know how your housekeeping, your maintenance, F&B are running, again, we go to the same logic as I said in my previous response. So, all of these insights, you don't want to analyze them yourself, or transform them yourself, because if you have to do that, you will go back to Excel, and you don't want to go back to Excel. Nobody likes to do that.
No.
On the other
Personally,
side,
I hate Excel. I'm so sorry. Personally, I don't like Excel at all. Coming back to an Excel is going to be like a mess.
It's useful, but really, with the amount of data that hoteliers have to deal in a daily basis, that's no way it's the way to go. On the other side, your team's training, the training that you provide to your teams plays a significant role on how valuable will be your data, and how reliable as well. Because they are the ones logging in the data into your tech stack every single day. Of course, now we have all of these solutions for the guests to add that information, but still there's a lot of information that's still your teams. Your front desk heads guest information, manage reservations, bills, and so on. If we go to F&B, your team manages the restaurant bookings, the guest preference, if they have a place to put them. They control the food delivery, the overproduction. If we go to your engineering team, for instance, they log all the faults, actions performed. But all of this, if they have a system to do it. So if they don't have the technology to do it, they will be doing it in paper, in Excel, and that it's not valuable data, because you will lose a lot of data that these systems transform and take it into, again, actionable insights for you. And if we go to housekeeping, it's the same. You won't know which rooms were being cleaned, inspected, any minibar posting, the times. So when we talk about training properly, when I say training properly your teams, I'm talking about the importance of logging data in the same way, no matter the department. But if you have 5 to 7 different solution systems to log data that are not connected with each other, this will certainly be very difficult to do. And another reason that I believe is one of the most important is knowing well your real hotel's needs. So the needs of each of your departments, the data that you need will be different in different situations. So I think it's really important first to acknowledge your hotel business pains in every, various moments, because Roman, you said, in 10 years, you will need the data that you have, that you have now. But if we think about revenue management, and if we think about, 3 to 5 years ago, the data that we have is not that relevant anymore now, right? So we still need to be as well a little flexible on how we treat and see data here. But I think it's really important that at the end of the day, you see, okay, these are my hotel business pains, and this is the data that I have at my disposal. So what we should do, at the end is treat the data that you need in various times and depending on your needs. I think that's the key. You need to set your KPIs, make the data that you have available work for your hotel business, because hotels are different. You will have a need that another hotel won't have. So I think, again, know exactly where you need in your hotel business, set your KPIs and see what data you have, if it's valuable or not, and make it as connected as possible. So if you have 7 solutions, it will be very difficult to have valuable data if they are not integrated.
I totally agree with you, Isabel, and I want to make a point here also. We're talking about revenue management, but concerning the operations, for example, normally hotels, they know what is the cost, but they have no idea what is the regular daily cost and do maintenance to maintain all the operations. I'm talking about engineering at the end, because it's water, it's electricity, it's a lot of things. So if you let me, please correct me if I'm wrong, Isabel, it's basically what Isabel would try to say, if you let me, it's not only about the revenue, it's about what is your cost, what that costs the operation in your hotel. Normally, most hotels have no idea about it. They will impact on their M, but before their M, it's impacting already. And you need solutions to take a look and say, okay, how much time I'm spending to fix hydraulical stuff? How much time I'm spending to air conditioning? I'm doing that correctly.
To clean a room, it's so costly, the housekeeping department.
That as the PMS will tell you, for example. However, Isabel going to tell the customer, hey, the clean is not clean or not. I got to tell the customer. And that is very important for a customer right now. When they access, they have a QR code. This is the most powerful thing right now in the world. This is about saying change our lives. And we are like, we're the new slaves here with this. Well, without this, like, where's my cell phone? How? Where is it? But people, when they go to the hotel, they use, if you have a way to communicate with them, to tell, don't worry, this is clean. Our dog stuff is clean. Everybody is working perfectly. The last revision was 1 week ago. Don't worry about it. This is very important. It's just the only point. If I'm wrong, please, Isabel, correct myself.
No, you are correct. It's not only about, RevPAR. If you only think about RevPAR, then you are losing sight of how much it costs to clean your room, how much it's costing to do, or to miss all of these preventive tasks. At the end of the day, you are not making money because you are simply looking at one part of the data that you have available.
But another thing that's very important that we see every day, I see every day, I used to work for more than 37 countries in the world with more than 3,700 hotels. Right now we work in 17 countries, my other company. But what we see on regular basis is when you speak with hoteliers, they said, I sell this, they see the brute, but they never take how commission comes from here, my cost. They don't look at that. They said, oh, I make $10 million this month, awesome. No, depends. Really depends. But normally we have directors that just show you a lot of KPIs and show how you grow in sales. But how really money you making? How much money are you making on top of everything you're selling. Maybe you have 100% every day and you're losing $250,000 per month. That's a very that's the key of the operation in a hotel. That most of the hoteliers just don't look at the profits, how much I sell. And the rev part, for me, myself, I don't care. I just care the rev part without all the taxes, all commissions, all my costs, and then I see what I make. When I have that rev part, that is important. The other things, I don't care.
Vinicius, you would be impressed of how many hotels are still running without housekeeping and maintenance solutions. It's crazy. And we are talking about big hotels, and yeah, they have no site.
I know that. Anybody, Praveen, this is the point that you can add a lot of, man. Please, go. Tell them something.
Yeah.
You have a 20-year experience.
Along with my question as well, but yeah, I mean, definitely it's looking at it in a holistic view, right? You've got to not just look at only your revenue, you've got to look at your profitability at the end of the day, right? That's what any business.
How much money I make? Because I have 0, okay. I just maintain my operation, but where's the money?
Yeah.
We need money.
Yeah.
If I'm a businessman, even if I make $100, at least I make 100, but I cannot lose. And to not lose, we need those kind. We need all of the technology that we have in the market. So I'm shutting my mouth now. Clarissa, it's all yours. I'm so sorry to interrupt. But every time I interrupt is to sell something that is inside and just to figure out that hoteliers understand, because we're really technical here. And sometimes if you are too much technical, hoteliers going to say, what they're saying. They were good. Those guys.
Oh, no.
They understand.
But obviously, they obviously understand. But for sure, hoteliers are in the people we really want to help, and so it's good to keep the track on their point of view and their needs. So totally. I'm moving forward to the next question, and I'm going to Praveen. So Praveen, what are the various methods that both hotels and chains can utilize to capture more usable and accurate operational data? How can I effectively use this data to analyze, improve, and streamline their operations?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll pretty much draw on what everyone's spoken today in the panels, right? And I think if you look at the vacation rental market, and if you look at Airbnb, right, and I think Philip and Roman were both mentioning it, the one thing that they do exceptionally well is personalize, because they know so much about the guest, right? And hotels know nothing about their guest, right? So this is something that obviously happens because of sanitization of data. Like, for example, when an email address comes from an OTA, it comes in something at booking.com, right? And obviously the hotel doesn't know how to get in touch with the guest after that email address expires, essentially, right? So being able to capture data, I think that's obviously the most critical thing, accurate data, looking at it from a holistic view, as what Isabel said, not just looking at the turnover, but looking at your profitability. But to do that, it's sort of pointless when you have information sitting across various silos, different systems, and they're not talking to each other. And you would be surprised how many hotels we speak to on a daily basis that still use Excel. Right, and the reports that are being sent to the owners of the properties, the reports that are being sent to the corporate offices for those small independents, and those smaller chains which have 1, 2, 3, 4 hotels, everything is in Excel, right? And it essentially comes out of the system. Someone sits on it, works on it, for days to get it fed into that, corporate office style format, and then it gets emailed across to the head office, right? And that's the thing with the hotel industry that we found, and I found as well coming into this, is like the other industries is a lot more evolved, in terms of adaptation of technology and utilization of technology. And over the past year, I guess with COVID and things sort of a lot of cut down with the manpower, I guess technology adaptation has been quite strong, quite well taken up. And not to actually get rid of people, but really to reskill them and, basically repurpose them to do much more than just being a data entry clerk, So that's what essentially everyone used to do before in the hotel, which is literally sit and feed data into the PMS, right? Which is sort of pointless because at the end of the day, they're not doing what they were there to do, which is basically to service the guests. So collecting the data is one thing, but then being able to, utilize it, have the systems interconnected, and us being a PMS, what we always try to take an approach of being open, essentially to be able to pass and exchange data with other platforms that can effectively utilize the data. It's pointless us holding on to the data and not sharing it with anyone. And that's what most PMS companies do, is they just lock the data into their system and don't really let anyone else utilize it. And that's sort of useless, because capturing the data and then later on being able to use that data to better do AI, better do machine learning, because those are things still evolving. Hotel industry is sort of in its infancy when it comes to AI and ML, right? I mean, sure, you've got these complex algorithms that actually work in the revenue aspect, revenue management aspect, based on occupancy. You have your pricing varying, things like that, which actually is already happening. But when it comes to operational things like housekeeping, like maintenance, these things nobody sort of tells you, or the system doesn't tell you, hey, look, you fix that air conditioner, 10 times. It would be cheaper for you to just replace that air conditioner. A system's got to be intelligent enough to tell you to do that, right? So things like that, being able to take that across to all the different verticals in the hotels and bring them all together to work in unison, at the end of the day, to improve the bottom line, to improve their profitability. So using data in the right way is really something that we can all strive to do. So thanks. This just my summary.
Thank you so much, Praveen. Well, an heads up, I would say, again, to hoteliers, collect data automatically. Let's do automation, do the work, and focus on taking better decision for your business. But let's do automators what they can do, and nowadays we really can do a lot.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Clarissa, but yes, I totally agree with you. But one thing that's really important, we have a lot of hotels that have a lot of automation, but they don't look at the data. So if you don't look at the data, the automation will do whatever they want, and you can have a machine learning. And the most important thing here is that you understand. I'm gonna make a point here. As this is an operation, travel tech, however, we link with RM. I'm gonna link here marketing, because everything is marketing. Marketing doesn't matter if they speak good or bad as you, it's marketing. However, if you want to do a great job, analyze your data. You want to understand your customer, please check. Most of hoteliers, most of the chains, doesn't care to understand who is the guy that come for the publicity on Facebook, who is the guy that come or the lady that come for Instagram, for LinkedIn, or for an event, or for a marriage, or for because I have a partnership with some kind of Swarovski, for example. I'm a luxury hotel, I have my hotel right there linked with Swarovski, but I don't care. If you don't care, this is not your business.
But that's exactly what I said. I said, let's do the automators what they can and focus on taking better decision based on data. And I think
I'm going forward on that. I'm going really forward. What they need to do normally, we need to understand from where people watching us and from where they pick the reservations. What do we know that? We understand, for example, if I have public from Facebook, go from my resort or from my corporate hotel and buy the standard room. For an Instagram, I have a middle scale. For LinkedIn, I have a high scale. You need to know that because you need to provide prices beyond your channel. And social media is a channel for everybody. It's a channel, guys. It's another sales channel. It's not just a channel to get data. It's a channel to understand who sees me. Because based on that, you're going to make a marketing strategy different. If I see that in Facebook, I have the standard that maybe I want to improve Facebook or not. I want to make the people get more reservations for that standard public. And I have a really higher for an Instagram or for mobile, for all the others. Also, another thing I always said, or 17 years working in this industry, for in 2004, Well, I'm getting old. That is a bad thing. But it's okay. It happens to everybody. But the thing here is to understand how I manage my pricing with the operations and with the channels I do distribution. And I'd say this, normally 99.9% of hotels do this. It's standard price all over. I have a non-refundable. It's not a good time to do that, but non-refundable, I have the same discount on Booking, Expedia, Hotel Beds, HRS, a lot of the others, and the same on my personal page. No, you need to base how you improve your strategy based on the commission you pay. If you're paying 30% and you have 40% of your sales come from a channel that you sell, you pay 30% commission, stop it right away. Stop it. Give them the standard price. Go and to your direct booking, give a good offer, have a good website, and go to Booking, Expedia, on the others that you're going to be charged between 10 till 20% and make the flow of the business change. For your hotel, nobody will change the flow of the reservations. For that happens, you need to do something. It's that I'm telling you. Thank you. Sorry. I'm very effective. I love what I do. I really love travel and hotel industry.
We forgive you the delay for your passion. So we have,
I love you, Clarissa. Always very. Thank you.
We have a very last question, and this is for Roma. So again, the last but not the least, Roman. So where do you see the future of hotel technology moving, not just specific to revenue management, but as an industry as a whole? Is there a specific technology you think you need to start understanding at a deeper level?
Well, I guess first off, I'll start by saying I think the future is bright. For anybody that is in the vacation rental industry, we mentioned it just now, Airbnb is up 10% today. So you've just made 10% since we started talking. And I think that's reflective of hospitality in general and where the industry is moving. I mean, look at the airline stocks today. I think United Airlines is up 10, 15%, right? The light is at the end of the tunnel. And I know we went through a difficult time, but I think there's always a silver thing in every challenge. And I think it goes without saying that 2020 has been one of the most difficult years, if not the most difficult year in hospitality and that hospitality has ever faced. But these times breed opportunity, change, adjustment. Let's just look back to 2008, right? We were facing one of the largest economic declines since the Great Depression. And that recession gave us some of the greatest companies of this next decade. Slack, Uber, Pinterest, Venmo, WhatsApp. I think even Instagram was developed in that time. So, and similarly, I think we're going to emerge from this dark time in hospitality, and we'll have had to have evolved to survive. And I'm really excited to see what products we'll be launching in the next 6 months. There's so many people out there that were unemployed hoteliers pursuing dreams that they might not have been able to necessarily work on during grueling hospitality hours. So, there's a lot of unemployed people that are building all these technologies and all these systems and that we're talking about here today. And there's going to be things that we haven't even thought of that are going to be coming out. So I think the future is bright. And on top of that, I actually think we're sitting on the cusp of one of the biggest travel booms in history of our time. I don't know about you guys, but I'm dying to spend all the Sky Miles I've accrued on my credit card from eating Uber Eats at home every day. But I think it starts.
Where to? I've spent a lot of money to have Uber Eats.
Yeah, a lot of money, a lot of pounds.
I took like 10.
Yeah,
I'm very fat right now. Happens.
But I think if we're looking where technology is going, I think it starts with us as stewards of technology to help our clients cross the bridge into this next era, and that's where we need to head. We're all racing ahead here. We're in a travel tech forum. We're all racing ahead, trying to build the next biggest thing, the next fastest thing, bigger, better, more efficient, more data, etc. While I think sometimes we lack to understand, and I don't want to say needs, because sometimes our clients don't understand what they need, but more so the comfort level of our client. They're just starting to catch up. And do I believe that the future of hospitality will be based on blockchain technology and artificial intelligence? 100%. I do, and I believe that's where we're going. But I think there are priorities right now, and that is for us to start making technology far more accessible and affordable. Right now, it's so difficult for a hotel to switch technologies and add technology alone. I mean, I can switch my accounting technology from QuickBooks to FreshBooks in 15 minutes. And all this information gets processed and moved from one system to another in 5 minutes, 15 minutes, and it's 15 years of history, right? Why is it not possible for a PMS or an RMS or a channel manager to be able to do the same thing? A hotel can't switch these technologies on the fly while operating. They're going to have enormous downtime, and it can, let alone the contractual obligations that we kind of put them into, which become huge barriers for our clients. And they understand that they're going to end up sticking with them, which, kind of allows for prices to become relatively inelastic for a lot of these systems. So I think it's our job as drivers of technology to start listening more to our client and building systems that can really benefit our client. And we need to start building technology with more uniformity so that our clients are not under this impression that they're going to be stuck and married with us forever. I know as a businessman, that probably is the worst thing I could be saying right now, but obviously you always want to find a way, you always want to make it difficult for a client to leave, but we shouldn't be making it hard to leave because it's nearly impossible to switch to a better or more affordable system. We should be making it impossible for our clients to leave because the technology is continuously improving, and it's so good that they could never imagine life without us, right? And it forces us to be better. It creates competition. And so having said that, I think APIs are extremely important, and allowing technology companies to interconnect with each other and allowing clients to flow from one to another. Just an example, RMS is connected to 10 PMS companies right now, and on a daily basis, I contact new PMS companies trying to establish new integrations, and it's nearly impossible. One, to first of all get an answer from anybody, and two, the amount of development it takes for us to establish an integration. So when I have a client that has Opera, for example, at the moment, we have to unfortunately turn them away. And while it sucks for me, it's also not good for my client. It's making the process far much more difficult and painstaking for them. And it kind of creates this aversion to tech or wanting to embrace it. So I think there needs to be a huge push to kind of start connecting all of our technologies so hotels can freely move as they please from one technology to another, or add another one, or add what they want. So right now, if they have me and another PMS, and my technology and the PMS technology doesn't integrate with a particular contactless check-in system, they either have to leave us or they have to move. They can't get that contactless check-in system. So it's very difficult. And when that happens, we start seeing a lot of but when hopefully when this happens, I think we're going to start seeing consolidation within the industry, which again is hugely beneficial to the client, because now it's again forcing products to be more affordable, user friendly, and in order for them to end up surviving. So we're starting to see marketplaces form, whether it's with SiteMinder, Muse, or Apaleo, you name it, but it's still very, very segmented and early times for that. And I think we're going to start seeing that more so in the future. And having said that, I think to the second part of your question with regards to specific technology, and I'll keep this short here, but I mentioned earlier some of these sexy words that everybody wants to hear, but I think two words that hoteliers are going to have to start embracing and listening to is blockchain technology. We're starting to hear it more and more and more. Obviously, we've heard about blockchain technology first through cryptocurrencies, but I think it's a perfect marriage for hospitality, whether it's operating a PMS and all the data that's flowing in and out, running gathering that data on the blockchain is an absolute no-brainer. We're at the point right now where blockchain technology is where we were in 1985, 1990 with the internet, and people were like, "What? I need a website? I don't need a website. That's garbage." But blockchain technology, we're at the cusp of changing the way everything works.
I love it, the garbage of website. I'm so sorry. I need to laugh.
It's true. And then
when you say that, whoa, what happened here?
Yeah, what happened? Look at 30 years later. And then another piece of technology is obviously artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is perfect for hospitality. We gather so much data that's, and I hate to say it for better, lack of a better description, but it's so black and white. It's data in, data out, and artificial intelligence is so good at identifying trends, right? We actually developed AI into our system, but we're currently still working with regular algorithms because our AI is so new that we're afraid that the machine's actually going to absorb irregular patterns from COVID. So we actually didn't think that the time is right now for AI to be released. So we're actually sticking with a linear algorithm for now because we think that's better for the hotels. But moving out of AI, I think that hotels are going to have to start embracing blockchain technology, artificial intelligence, and it's going to make hospitality so much more efficient. It's going to allow hotels, again, to focus more on that personalization that we've been talking about so much today. And I think we're moving into one of the most exciting times in hospitality ahead. So that's my takeaway.
Thank you so much, Roman. We're finishing our masterclass, but before we finish, Roman touched base on something that's very important. We still have a lot of lobbies all over the world that do not let you connect. And we'll still have a lot of companies that have the same, let's say, profile like 25 years ago. If you want to connect, you need to pay. If you want to connect, everybody needs to pay. Maybe my vision, what I have in my mind is those kind of companies will die. Not now, because most of them is the biggest on the country they are, or they're the biggest in the world, but they will die. In some point, they will die. When you stop connectivity, when you stop engagement, because engagement is not social media, engagement between hotels. When you make a hotel, I don't will connect. For connect, I need to pay you, I don't say names, $30,000 for the integration, plus you gotta pay, hotel gonna pay $50,000, then for each reservation that comes, you're gonna pay $2.
Yep.
Okay,
How is that going to be affordable for
guys,
the hotel?
Yeah. So, guys, okay, we will pass in 5 years from today. We are in 11 of March 2021. I'm like I'm gonna be like a sensitive person. And 5 years from now, if we still have those kind of lobbies, we fail. Everybody fails. We cannot do that anymore. And we have very huge companies do that because they don't care. Maybe the tourism side or Cerdeira side represents 0.3% of their investment. Everybody knows what I'm telling for the specialists here. But for the others, that will happen. You cannot tell people when you have an API, I'm a developer. If you give me an API, I got on my team, 2 people. Myself and another one, I don't need it anymore. 1 week, I started already doing the tests. Another week, if I have time, it's done. And the third week is let's do live tests, how that's working. But when you have stuff every time, and no, if you want to be paid. No, we need to change our minds. First of all technological companies, we can be competitors between each other, but we are not at the end. Because we provide different solutions for different kind of hotels. And we cannot still, that is why I create Travel Tech. We need to bring knowledge, we need to try to teach and help our environment. But after all, at the end, it's not us, it's the client. So if you get a client mad or angry because he loves a solution and you don't want to integrate because you want money, what's going to happen? That solution that they love most, they're going to say, hey, look, I'm going to give you 3 different options to solve this. And let's see. And even if you want, I can make them take the price lower. So we don't APIs there is a long time. From 2004 we have APIs. Come on. We haven't, it's 16, 17 years. Come on.
I guess I struck a nerve.
Come on, stop it. It's the time to stop, bro, really. I was a professional 17 years in this market and technology. Come on, let's stop the lobby.
Agree.
Lobby don't make you grow. Lobby, you can turn a market in your hands, but you're gonna lose it sometime. And when you lose it, you drop like this. You're gonna sink like a big destructor for North America and for US, for example, Army, when they have a hit. Come on. Here we need to help each other. That is why I create Travel Tech. That's why we have competitors talking together. Most from the last year and this year and during the year. Nobody here is an enemy. We need to be friends. We need to find a way to co-live together. That's all. And us, myself, Jory, Isabel, Praveen, Philip, Roman, Clarissa, we doesn't matter. Who matters is the client. Don't even matter the hotel. It's the client. The client that makes the hotel makes money. The client makes us make money. So the most important person here in our industry is the client, not the other. That's all. Thank you. I'm gonna, okay. I'm like this. So before I
Lovely way to finish, Vinicius.
We were finishing. Don't worry. So I need to say thank you for all the sponsors that you have in 21 till now. So if someone wants to be a sponsor for Travel Tech, we'll still have in May, Brazil, Portugal in Portuguese, APAC in July in English, Latin and Spain and Spanish on September, and November EMEA, that's Europe, Middle East and Africa in English. So if you want to be a sponsor, you just need to go to traveltech.space and there you just contact us and we can talk about it. For this year already, we have Expedia Group. This is the first time Expedia support any travel, anything. Is the first time. I'm very happy to say that. So Expedia Group, Review Pro, HS Latin, RM Hub, 5, Hotel Networks, Libre Assistant, Ask Street, Book Assist, Evermax, Il Planet, Hub OS, Book Online Now, and Amelia.travel. Yes, you. So thank you all the sponsors. Without you, this will be possible because I already spent all my money in the last year. So if I need to do this on my own, it's going to be very tough. To be very transparent. And I'm going to give everybody 1 minute, but before, thank you so much, Jory, Isabel, Praveen, Philip, Roman, Clarissa. You have my cell phone, you have my emails, you have my LinkedIn. Let's be in touch. Let's grow together. Let's try to make also networking here inside of Travel Tech because everybody can grow together. Thank you so much. Happy birthday again, Praveen. Thank you to be here in the morning hours in India. Thank you so much. So I'm going to give, as the two ladies going to be first. So Isabel, you have 1 minute. Say goodbye.
Now, I just want to say thank you. It was a really nice masterclass, with all of the knowledge that we shared. We all have a lot of things in common and a lot of opinions in common, which makes the industry stronger. So it was very, very nice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Isabel. Clarissa Trezzi, per favore.
Well, and thank you, everybody. Thank you, Vinicius, for organizing and all the effort that is behind the Travel Tech.
You make part of this. You make part of this.
Well, we are really a great team, and you are a great leader. That's why we forgive you everything. Thank you. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to our sponsors, which are support with great ideas. And thank you again, last but not the least, thank you for this great panel today, for all your insights. I think that we really discuss key challenges in our industry and not only in our industry. So thank you, everybody, and hope to see you in the next session.
Praveen Paul, my dear friend, it's your turn.
Thanks for, the song. That was very impromptu, but awesome way to start the day for me. So it was fantastic. And really great panelists here. I think I learned a lot, just listening to all of you and your views of, how technology is sort of going to shape the future in the never normal. So certainly looking forward to, I guess, connecting with you all. And I certainly share Vinicius' passion when it comes to, having these closed, antiquated systems that have been running for so long, that have, got these hotels in a neck hold or a choke hold, and it's very difficult, and then last year, there's been a massive shift, or we've seen a shift, where a lot of hotels really got away from that, and they had the time to do it, and they didn't have the pressure of the guests, breathing down their necks. So they had time to look at alternate options, and it's good to see. So I think it's a good shake-up for the industry. So let's hope in that 5-year sort of timeline that Vinicius was saying that, it'll be an open world. Yeah, exactly. Looking forward to that. So thank you very much once again. Really appreciate the invite, and hopefully I'll join the next one too.
Happy birthday, Praveen. Thank you to be here. Philippe Kennard. Kennard, c'est français. Kennard, c'est un surname français. You have your mic is off. Turn on your.
It is a French surname. That's correct, and it's my favorite animal, the duck.
Nous pouvons parler français, c'est pas un inconvénient ici, hein?
Je parle un peu français.
Vous parlez français, mais c'est très bien ça.
But I will give this response in English though. I think that we had lots of great takeaways. One thing that I want everyone to think about, especially hoteliers, as they think about the challenges that are coming from the short-term rental industry and the strengths of the industry, there are some lessons that one really important one, that data can be used not just as a way to grow your business, but actually, as Clarissa mentioned earlier, to operationalize and automate certain tasks so that you can focus on delivering better hospitality, right? So this isn't just a efficiency for the actual day-to-day operations to cut costs. Those things are also critical. But I'm going to leave you with one really interesting statistic. There's some great data analysis companies in the short-term rental industry. AirDNA is a good example of one. Transparent is another good example of one. And they did some studies recently to understand which vacation rentals were getting the best reviews. And they found that the vacation rentals that were getting the best reviews were actually the ones that were managed by the smallest managers. So someone that has one property gets a higher review on average than someone that has 10, and someone that has 10 gets higher reviews on average than someone that has 100. Why is that? It's because the focus, 100% of that person's focus when they have one property is delivering a better experience to the guest. They're in charge of everything. They're keeping tight control of their organizational processes. They may not be efficient, but they're keeping tight control of it so they can deliver a consistent guest experience. When you want to think about how a hotel can compete in the growing face of challenges with short-term rentals, think like the guy that has one property. Use data to think like that guy. Use data to automate your business so you can focus on delivering the best experience possible. And if you're in the short-term rental space, use data to be able to compete and figure out where you're going to open your next rental and how to compete with the hotel next door. This learning needs to go both ways, and glad to have been participating on the panel with everyone to share some of these learnings.
Awesome insight, Philip. Thank you so much. Jory Garcia, please, it's your time.
Yes, Phil, completely agree with you, and not to, invalidate what you just said, but of course, having a huge enterprise kind of package of hotels or managing a portfolio, that still is possible. But overall, I like the mentality that you mentioned at the foundation of what hospitality means and why we're all here, why the industry is here. So thank you very much for that. And Roman, I also appreciate your very optimistic last answer there, maybe because it falls in line with my disposition overall with adopting technology, which I think we all do as well. And if there's something else to close for any of the hoteliers, vacation rentals, whatever segment you are in hospitality, I know we might be overlooked that we're throwing out terms like capture data and clean data and maybe some vernacular that you don't use on your day-to-day. Very easy for us to say this because we are using this probably every hour. If you fall into that respect of, hotelier falling where you don't really know what you don't know, go out there, look, ask around, take a look at our websites, because it is a lot easier than it seems, regardless of how many syllables the words that we use that we've thrown out today. So yeah, definitely a lot more digestible, consumable for your teams overall. But yeah, thanks so much for everybody for joining. And I like that we had a kind of a good realm of different opinions and viewpoints and ways to put our our knowledge. So hope we get to do this again sometime in the future, and I'll be connecting with you all either way.
For sure. Thank you, Jory. Let's go with Roman Wunderlich. That is a German surname. Wunderlich. Let's go, man.
Yeah, very Wunderlich, very German. First of all, Praveen, how about we put our money where our mouth is, and we'll connect our technologies right off the bat, huh? Along the theme of open connections, right?
Happy to do that.
That'd be a great start. So
complicated the other RMSs are, right? To connect to, we took like months, almost a year to connect to some of them, which they were so complicated, right? So we've got to make it easy at the end of the day. Otherwise, it's sort of pointless for the hotels.
Exactly. Couldn't agree more. So we'll connect afterwards. But first and foremost, thank you all. Thank you, Travel Tech, for allowing us to be here today. It's been a pleasure speaking with you all. For me, it's really cool to see how so many of us are coming from different parts of the industry, and whether it's PMS or vacation rentals or data harvesting, all that. And in the end, it's all one common theme that we're kind of discussing, whether we're packaging it in yellow or orange or green. We're all kind of talking about the same thing, and we all know what direction hospitality has to go in, and I think for me, I would love to speak to you as potential clients, as the hoteliers. Don't be afraid of technology. We're here to help. We're here to be your friend. We're not taking away jobs. It's creating jobs. It's just reshuffling the deck. And we're going to be making your hotels more efficient. And that's what we're here to try to do. And, just don't be afraid. Give us a try. So, and I hope to see you all connected off the forum and possibly in the next forum. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Roman. Second, everybody. In 25 minutes, we're going to start the live pitching. And what we did this year is totally different. We don't want that the pitch will be 5 minutes. I want that people connect with the technology. So Travel Tech is providing 35 minutes. I understand that it can be a little bit too much time, but it is not, because people will show their screens, will show their platforms. So in 25 minutes, 14:25 New York, 11:25 LA, we're going to start with Geraldo, Senior Director of Global Business Development, Hotel Networks. After that, we're going to have Bucolinao Teodoro Catsimbras, Amelia.Travel Revolution as an OTA, is a startup. As a whole revolution will be competitive with Booking and Expedia. So I recommend to everybody to listen what they have to say, and all the others. After that, we're going to have Max, Ray Tiger. They don't need any kind of introduction. It's Ray Tiger. They're in the market for 2002, so they don't need anybody to tell them, hello, Max. So they will be here, and we're going to have HJ5 at the end today. So we're going to finish 5 o'clock New York, the last presentation, and we'll finish at 17:30. We'll finish the pitch inside. It's going to be through YouTube, through your channel. So please come and join us. Thank you. Kisses for everybody. Jory, Isabel, Praveen, Philip, Roman, Clarissa. Thank you so much to be here. Without you guys, Travel Tech's nothing.
Thank you.
Be welcome. Always be welcome. Cheers. Goodbye. Have a great day ahead. Bye. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.